Assalamu alaikum, ladies and gentlemen. I am from Nurse on behalf of Assalamu alaikum, ladies and gentlemen. I am from Nurse on behalf of my team. Welcome all of you guys to this webinar on how to get admission and scholarship for studying abroad. First of all, I would like to introduce our honorable guest speakers. We have Ma'am Hamna Shahid and Sir Mobin Uddin with us. Ma'am Hamna Shahid did her bachelor's from Nurse and she is now studying in VU Amsterdam. She is VUFP Scholarship holder. And Sir Mobin Uddin has also done his bachelor's from NUST and is currently studying in University College Durban and has received Erasmus Mundus Scholarship. Now, I will discuss the pattern for the conduct of the session. So, first of all of our guest speakers will discuss their thoughts and will explain the procedure and requirements of getting their admission and the scholarship in the respective universities. Then after that, we will be having a question answer session. Further, I would like to inform you that you guys don't need to worry about the fact that you are unable to open the cameras and mic. We have disabled this in settings and will allow you during the question answer session. Now I would like to request Ma'am Hamna Shahid to start the session. Over to the ma'am.
Hello everybody. I think I can just share my screen. Can you see my screen and can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am, we can hear you and your screen is also visible.
All right. Thank you so much. Okay, I will just begin. So this little session, thank you for arranging this session. I am sure it will be helpful for everybody. I really hope it will be helpful for everybody. This is mostly about my VUFP scholarship at VU Amsterdam. And later on, Mobin will be covering the Erasmus scholarship. So I'm just going to begin. So firstly, this is the agenda for today. I'm going to talk about me a little bit, then about Amsterdam, then about my experience, then about the university, about the VUFP scholarship, how to apply, and other universities in Netherlands, then some tips, and finally some contact information for you. So this is a little information about me. I did my bachelor's in environmental engineering from IESC NUST. I was a part of the 2017 batch, which means I graduated last year in 2021. During my bachelor's, I was a part of the Entrepreneurs Club and I was also a part of the Debating Society. And by the third year, I was mostly just a part of the Debating Society. And in my final year, I served as the treasurer of the Debating Society. However, it was mostly during COVID, so it was online. Now, I am currently doing my master's in environment and resource management in Amsterdam. My specialization is in energy and climate, and I will just briefly touch upon this because I will not be going into details about the specific masters. But you can obviously feel free to contact me later on if you have questions about the masters. So our masters has 5 different tracks that you can pick from, and those tracks are water management, biodiversity, ecological management, sustainable futures, and energy and climate. And currently I am doing 2 internships. One is at a company called ZDHC and one is at Makers Unite. And both of these internships are in the context of sustainability and greenhouse gas emissions. So now to the more interesting part, a little bit about Amsterdam. Firstly, it's a very beautiful city. It is one of the most beautiful capitals in the world. It has more bikes than people. So people are always biking around here. It has a great public transportation system as well, so you can easily get to places through public transport. I know a lot of students who've studied with me and a lot of colleagues at work who travel from different cities every day, so they've made it very accessible for everybody. It also has the most museums per square meter, so if you're interested in art, history, culture, then this is the perfect place for you. Most importantly, there are no language barriers because as a person coming from abroad, it might be difficult immediately to adopt into the culture, specifically if you do not speak the language of the country that you're studying in. But with Netherlands and with Amsterdam, it's very easy because there are no language barriers as everyone here speaks English. So obviously it's helpful to learn the language and to learn Dutch, but at the same time, you can get by in your first few months without having any knowledge of Dutch. Accommodation is a little bit of a problem, but I will get to that because the place is sort of, there are a lot of people living here and more people almost every day are coming in and moving into the city. So this might be a little bit of a problem, but if you're applying through a university and if you're applying for a study program, then definitely your university has some sort of accommodation, which will not be an issue for you. And it's a very clean, green, and pretty place, so you can always step out for fresh air, look around, and just feel great. So my experience so far, I'm going to start with the application process until now. Starting with the application process, everything was pretty easy and simplified, so it was not very difficult to go through the website and understand what they require and what they want, which I will be getting into details later on as well. Then once I applied and once I got my acceptance, I also applied for accommodation, which was also made pretty easy because it was all done through a portal. They have a portal which includes all your scholarships, scholarship and master's applications on one portal. So it sort of like streamlines it and makes it easy for you to keep track of your applications if you're applying to more than one university in the Netherlands. So you can easily apply for accommodation. My university has or is affiliated with one of the biggest student housing campuses. So it was pretty easy here to find accommodation. Then visa processing was also pretty streamlined because all I had to do was upload my documents and the rest was completely handled by the university and by the embassy in Netherlands. However, you do have to pay a certain amount or a fee to have your visa processing application done. But apart from that, it is very easy. You do not have to stress too much over how to apply, what to do, what documents you need to upload. They make that all very simplified and very easy for you. They send you a lot of emails, so you're right on track. Then within a month of your application, you receive something called an IND approval, which is basically an approval by the Dutch embassy, immigration embassy. And once you have that approval, you can easily make an appointment in your Pakistani embassy to submit your documents and take your passport and get your visa. I would recommend getting an appointment even before you receive your IND approval, even though they mentioned that you should do it after you receive your approval, because with Pakistan, the embassy can sometimes be a bit crowded and they do sometimes have a lack of people available to accommodate. So you might be a bit late for your appointment. So I would recommend doing that as soon as you start your visa application process. But this does not take too long. I know that in Germany or other places that are applying, places like Italy, your application, visa processing application can be pretty difficult and sometimes most cases get rejected as well. That is not the case here. I know almost everybody who applies gets accepted easily. So this is a pretty important factor when you're considering where to apply in terms of countries. Then when we arrived, or when I arrived, I also got a lot of support from the university. We had an entire student team that was available to receive you, that was available to accommodate you in your rooms, help you with your bags, help you get acquainted to the place. So that was not trouble either. Then when it comes to actual studying and activities, we had something called an orientation week, which obviously everybody has. And that really helps you understand, get acquainted with the city, get acquainted with the country, with the Dutch culture. You also make a lot of friends, you meet a lot of people. Then when it comes to the Dutch education system, so it is a bit different from normal systems, or specifically the system that we follow back at NUST. And this system is basically that every 2 months you study 2 or 1 subject and you give your exams and then you're done and dusted with those subjects. Now this has both downsides and benefits to it. The downsides could be that it is a bit, it's very rapid. You need to be very on your toes because you have these submissions lined up every other week. But at the same time, it makes it easier because you can easily focus on 2 subjects, and it helps you because you are definitely learning what you're studying. So I would also recommend in terms of the studying system here, I think it's very great. And even at the university, they have very well, and they have knowledgeable and well-qualified professors. Also, when it comes to internships, my university was also very helpful because they provided us with very big list of internships that we could apply to. They also helped us with the application process, all obviously depending on what program you're studying. But I'm sure that that's the case throughout the university. So they're very helpful when it comes to internships, when it is your time to apply for an internship. Obviously, you can also independently apply for internships on your own as well. Then there is something called an orientation year, which is important because this is something really helpful, because when you actually apply for your visa is for a 1 year or a 2 year, depending on your study program. You get your visa. But an orientation year is what the Dutch government gives you and allows you to stay in Netherlands for one entire year and look for jobs, try to find job opportunities, work a little. All of that you're allowed to do in your orientation year. So if you study and complete your studies here, after your completion of your studies, you're allowed to, you can apply for the orientation visa, and then you can stay for an extended period of 1 year to look for jobs, to look for opportunities for yourself, which is plenty of time, in my opinion, I think. Okay. Then about the university, our university has a quote on the website which says, "You don't just become something, you become someone," which I really like. So we have a lot of different programs which include bachelors, masters, honors, education for professionals, etc. But I'm sure most of you here are interested in the master's program. So we have a part-time master's and we have a full-time master's as well. We have 8 faculties: science, behavioral science, business and economics, religion and theology, humanities, medicine, law, social sciences. It's great for engineering, as far as I know. It's also great for sciences, specifically if you're interested in computer sciences. I know a lot of people here who are studying computer sciences. I have a few friends studying computer sciences and AI as well, and they mention how big their classrooms are because they have a lot of students here. So they're really looking to expand in this sector of the education system. So it's great for those fields. And I've also mentioned the website that you can go through. Obviously, you can look at whatever program you're interested in and the details that it mentions about the program. So now coming to the VUFP Scholarship. The VUFP Scholarship program is for non-EU students, and it is a unique opportunity to pursue your master's degree. It covers your complete tuition fee, and I will get to that. The eligibility is that you should have a non-EU passport and a non-Dutch passport. You should have academic excellence. Obviously, a good GPA will take you far. The program should start in September. This is important because they have programs that are also starting in February. So you should be applying to a program that starts in September and not in February. Then you should have already obtained your conditional acceptance in one of the programs. I will get to that. So basically, you need to apply for your master's program separately first, and then you apply for your VUFP scholarship. Also, diversity is very encouraged because they have a list of all the countries that they specifically encourage, because they have less than 10% students from those countries, and Pakistan is one of those countries. So they definitely encourage people from Pakistan to apply for the program. Then they have something called the Holland Scholarship Program. This application, you don't need to apply for it separately. It is considered with your VUFP application directly. But at the same time, this application covers your, if not all, then some or most of your living expenses. And those are paid for by the university. And obviously, you can, once you're here, you can either try to look for jobs on your own, or you can look for internships, which I highly recommend because they have a lot of opportunities for growth and internships here. So you can obviously, while you've started studying, you can look for internships that you can do alongside your studying, and you can also earn something from that you can use for your expenses. So how do you apply? You first need to register for a master's program or apply for a master's program through the instructions on the website. The deadline in most cases, or so far, has been 15th of December, but I would still recommend looking or reloading the website and looking at the deadline once again, because I think they do sometimes tend to change their deadline, but by October, they must have the right deadline for you. The documents required, now this can vary depending on the program that you're applying to, but mostly these are what documents that are required. The first is your passport copy, then they require a CV, which I would recommend making a Europass CV because I'm sure this is not the only place that you're going to apply for. So a Europass CV is going to help you streamline your own CV, and you can just, it's universally accepted, so you can just use that and apply to all of the other scholarships and masters that you want to apply for. Then a letter of recommendation is required. Now this depends, it could be one or two. In my case, I needed one letter of recommendation, but some cases you require 2 letters of recommendation as well. You require a letter of motivation, of course. You need your bachelor's degree, but if you do not have your bachelor's degree, you can send it in later. However, in place of that, you have to upload something called a provisional certificate. So most of the people, I'm sure, have not graduated, or even if you're in your final year, you will not have your bachelor's degree yet. So you can ask your department or whoever handles the documentation part of in your department to create something called a provisional certificate for you. I'm sure they will know what that is. And it just states that you're going to be graduating on this certain date in this certain year. And you can upload that instead, and then you can send in your bachelor's degree later on. Then you have to upload your transcript. So it doesn't have to be the complete transcript of your 8 semesters. I did my applications when I was at the end of my 7th semester. So I only had my transcript until my 6th semester, and that is what I uploaded. So that is perfectly fine and acceptable. Then you have to have your English language test ready, your IELTS or your TOEFL. I would recommend doing it at least a month or 2 prior to you starting your application process. And I would also recommend doing an IELTS as compared to a TOEFL because it is more universally accepted. So you can apply to more places with an IELTS. Then they also require a thesis or an academic piece of writing. So this can be anything. If you have not written your thesis yet, which I'm sure most people haven't, then you can just use any academic piece of writing, as it's just for a proof that you can write in English, basically. So you can use your, what I did is I had some assignment that I did for technical and business writing, which I'm sure most of you have also done that course or are going to do that course. So you can upload any of your assignments from that, that subject as a proof. And then a description of relevant courses. So on the website, they give you this template, and you can download that template and use that template to write down all the relevant courses that you've studied relevant to your program. So you don't need to include courses that are not as relevant, for instance, Pakistan studies, if you're doing something that doesn't have to do with Pakistan studies. So you can make a list of all your relevant courses, a description of those courses, and I think they also ask you for the literature or the books that you're using to study those courses. So this was for the master's program, and now for the VUFP application, the deadline is 1st of February, so you have enough time between your master's submission and then your VUFP application to actually make your personal statement. So the documents that they require, again, a proof of excellence, which is your transcript, an application form. So when I applied, they did not have something called an application form. I just had to submit my personal statement separately. But now they've turned it into an application form, which is a form on the website that you fill out. And this form mostly asks you your extracurricular activities that are related to your program, extracurricular activities that are not related to your program, professional background, why this master's, why this university, and what are your plans after completing the program, which is mostly what you would essentially cover in your personal statement either ways. So apart from VUFP and VU Amsterdam, there are other universities in Netherlands as well, because like I've mentioned, it is a great place to study. I definitely highly recommend coming to Netherlands if you really want to pursue something that you're passionate about. Other universities in Netherlands are University of Amsterdam, Leiden University, Erasmus University in Rotterdam, Delft University, where I know a few of my seniors are already studying, Radboud University, and University of Groningen are just some notable ones that I've mentioned. I'm mentioning these because as important as applications for Erasmus and Fulbright are very important, but at the same time, you can also look into independent scholarships because almost every other university out there does offer independent scholarships that are on their website available. So you don't always have to, obviously you can apply for those scholarships, which Mobin will brief you about later on, but you definitely can also look into independent scholarships that each of the universities offers. And you can look into their criteria and eligibility, and as long as you check all of their boxes, there's no harm in applying to them either. Okay, so now I have just a few tips before I wrap up my part of the presentation. The first tip is to make an Excel sheet and keep track of everything. I think this really helped me because when I started applying, I created an entire Excel sheet, and I had a list of all of the universities I wanted to apply to, all of their scholarship programs, then also their specific deadlines, their requirements. So it all makes it very streamlined. It keeps it in one place, and it makes it easier for you to understand where you want to apply. Definitely all of the places that you put on your list are not going to be all of the places that you apply to. So it makes it easier for you to look through and then shortlist the prioritized ones that you really want to apply to. So this would be my first step. And you Okay, so the second tip is do your research. This was sent in by Mobin actually. And this is definitely important because you really need to do your background work and your research on where you're applying. So don't just apply to places thinking that they're going to teach you what you think they're going to teach you. You need to look into what they're actually going to teach you, what they say on the website. So definitely do your background research, take enough time, take 2 months to go through all of the websites, go through all of the scholarships that they have, and just get a good idea of what is out there and what you really want to apply to. Then, like I just mentioned, look into independent scholarships as well, but you can obviously apply to things like Fulbright and Chevening and Erasmus. They all have their own perks, they all have their own benefits too. Then I would say have others read your personal statement, but also read it yourself. By this, I mean that after you can have other people read your personal statement, but also after you've written your own personal statement, I think you should just put it aside for a week or so and then come back to it again. And you will definitely find things that you think you can add to it, or you can subtract from it, or you might even find some spelling errors that you may have missed, because when we're writing it, we are thinking of what we are going to write, but sometimes that is not exactly reciprocated and we end up writing something else. So it's really important that you put it aside for a while, let it marinate a little, and then come back to it later on and see what you've written and read it. Speaking of which, you should have enough time for yourself. So I think you should, I'm not saying you should begin working on your applications 1 or 2 years before, but you should have at least a good 2, 3, 4 months to do your research, to start writing your personal statement, to go through your personal statement multiple times, to have other people read it, get feedback, and all of these things take time. So don't try to do your applications within a week. Maybe some of you can do that and still get in, good for you, but I think most people need time, so I would really recommend taking your time with it. Then you should really read your motivation letter from a third person's perspective. This is important because, like I mentioned, when we write, we think that the other person will automatically understand what we're writing because we understand what we're writing, but that is not always the case. So once you write your motivation letter, put yourself in the shoes of the academic committee and in the shoes of the admission committee, and then read the personal statement and try to understand and try to see if you understand what the person is saying. And if you do not, then there's definitely things you need to change in your motivation letter. Then I think it really helps to talk about your final year project because, and if you've not completed your final year project, which is likely if you are going to apply in your final year, then you can talk about what you're doing and what your expected outcome is. And then you can link that to your motivation because it really does help form a basis of why you're motivated to pursue whatever you want to pursue. Then you need to remember that your motivation letter is your motivation and it's not your CV. So do not end up repeating everything that you've mentioned in your CV back into your motivation letter. But do mention what you've learned from everything that you've mentioned in your CV, what experiences you've gained, how it can benefit you and the place that you're applying to. then I would definitely say that your extracurriculars are just as important as your GPA. So don't get lost in the race for GPA and just be studying all the time. You do need to do extracurriculars. That does not mean that you apply to every other society that is out there, specifically if you're currently in your first, second, or third year. But it means that you need to apply to at least one, two places that you really enjoy working, that you really think you can learn things from. So when you apply to societies, don't just do it for the sake of it. When you work there, try to learn something from them. I am sure I wouldn't be sitting here delivering a presentation if I wasn't a part of the debating society for 4 years and I did not learn the skills that I learned from there. So try to learn things from there and try to apply that. And like you just saw in the previous slides, they do ask for your extracurriculars, so they do play an important role and they are an important factor. Then practice your IELTS online using, there are so many tools available to practice reading, writing, listening. There are so many prompts available to practice speaking. You can make your friends the interviewer, you can become the interviewee, and there are so many ways to practice your IELTS exams, and I'm sure this would make a significant difference on your score. And one of the most important tips is do not self-reject, because we often tend to think that we are not good enough for a particular university or for a particular application. Leave the rejections to the admission committee and just apply where you really think you want to apply. And the most important tip is helping someone climb the mountain will also get you to the top. So definitely help each other out, get help from others, help each other out, give other people the tips that you learn from whatever you're doing, from your experiences, and it will definitely get you to the top too. So this is my contact information. I really hope I've covered everything. I have also listed the website here and the scholarship website here. So you can definitely go through the website, go through the scholarship page. I'm sure it will answer most of the questions, but if you still have specific or particular questions to ask, you can always drop me an email or you can reach out to me on LinkedIn. And also, I think we have a Q&A session. You can definitely ask questions then. This is all from my side. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for such a great explanation. Now I would request Sir Mobin Uddin to take over the session. Over to the sir.
All right, thank you so much, Hamna. Those are some really nice tips, and I really like that. Or I was just going to ask whether I should keep my speech bilingual or Urdu bhi saath use karu, because I believe everybody's from Pakistan. Or somebody was saying just speak in Urdu. No, अगर तुम्हें English नहीं समझ आती, you're in the wrong session right now, because this is all about international scholarships, where you will be required to understand English. ठीक है ना? So don't mind us. I'll try to keep it bilingual ताकि समझ भी आ जाए आप लोगों को, and just so you are more informed about the terms as well. So I'm just going to start my presentation. Give me a moment. All right, give me a thumbs up or a yes if you can hear me and see the presentation.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Perfect, thank you. Okay, so I'm Mobin Uddin. I'll tell about myself later, but I'll be talking about the Erasmus Mundus Scholarship, which I got in 2021. So it's a scholarship by European Commission, but first let me just tell you about how I'll be going through the presentation. First, I'll tell you about myself, so you know who is speaking, and about the Erasmus Mundus Scholarship itself. फिर मैं बात करूँगा about the application, what the processes were, and of course, by the end, how was my own experience throughout and up until now. So let's start with the first, about myself. I'm Mobin Uddin. I belong to Hunza, the northern regions of Pakistan, or I'm sure आप लोगों ने सुना होगा. Or I did my A levels from Roots International in Pindi. Or I'm also from NAST H12 campus. I studied environmental engineering from IESC, and Hamna is my classmate and my best friend so far. And we used to be in class together, and we started applying for universities and scholarships together actually. So I'm from the batch 2K17 till 2021, or by the time I was graduated, I got my Erasmus Mundus Scholarship. So my program is MSc Transition, Innovation and Sustainability Environment, जो मैं अभी इस वक्त पढ़ रहा हूँ, and it's like a 2-year program. So that's just about myself. I don't think it's necessary to mention any achievements of mine or just some academic background of mine, where I come from and what I've studied. So if you have more questions to ask, do ask in the end. So let's go with the second one, the Erasmus Mundus Scholarship. Let's jump into that. कि Erasmus Mundus Scholarship होता क्या है और what is it all about? All right, so सबसे पहली बात, Erasmus इसका पूरा नाम है Erasmus Mundus Joint Master's Degree Program. Okay, so just keep in mind there's emphasis on the joint master's degree. Okay, so in 2022, which is a year after I got my scholarship, there were 22 grants given, और उनके पेज पे अगर आप देखें तो there are like more than 100 programs available. So they can be both fully and partially funded, and you can be self-financed for it as well. I was fully funded, and I got the full scholarship, and of course students from all over the world can apply. Right. So there will be multiple countries, there will be multiple universities, and there will be multiple students from different backgrounds with you. Now, what happens in Erasmus Mundus is that there are multiple European countries which are in collaboration in under one program. So let's say my program is TISE, Transition, Innovation, Sustainability, Environments. So there are like 4 countries in this, but the program is only one. So I have 4 different countries to travel and 4 different universities to study in throughout the span of 2 years. So Erasmus Mundus is usually of 2 years, but I got to know recently, I talked to one of the scholarship holders. She was telling me that her program is of 1.5 years, but it also depends that it can extend up to 2 years because of their thesis in the end. So it really depends. So every program is different from one another. Keep that in mind. आपके application में भी ये बहुत मतलब crucial होगा, क्योंकि Erasmus usually एक सवाल होता है कि Erasmus के लिए आप एक जगह से apply करते हैं, नहीं. जो भी program होता है आप उसके लिए separate on the program website you apply from there. You have to apply separately. ये मैं थोड़ी देर में बाद में in detail बात करूँगा. But anyways, so keep this in mind again. This is not a double masters. Usually masters 1 साल के भी होते हैं, and this is a 2-year program. No, this is not a double masters. आपको 2 साल में 2 masters नहीं मिल रहा है. This is a joint degree program. That means कि अगर जो degree मिलेगी आपको by the end of these 2 years, it will be a single degree, but it will have the logos and the signatures of the consortium. अब consortium क्या होता है? Consortium is the collaboration of multiple universities from multiple countries. Okay, so you will get one degree with the name and signatures of the 4 different countries from 4 different universities from 4 different countries, right? All right. So इसमें जो usually countries होती हैं, they're in the Schengen area. Schengen area is like a cluster of all the European countries, and the UK is also included. So European Union में तो है ही है, but Schengen area is also included. But unlike myself, I'm in the EU right now. मैं Dublin, Ireland से बात कर रहा हूँ. It's not in the Schengen area, but it is in EU. But UK is also included. Anyway, so you will, when you do your own research, you will understand these things aista aista. But I'm just here to ignite the fire. All right. So about the grant, which I believe it's really important to mention, कि scholarship में होता क्या है? अब old scheme जो मैं follow कर रहा हूँ इस वक्त, and the current 2022 batch is, as far as I've heard, so उनकी tuition coverage fully होती है. This is only for the full scholarship, right? Partial की अलग terms होती हैं and self finance की भी अलग terms होती हैं. So for me, my whole tuition is covered, my health is covered. So every year, that's like twice, I get a travel stipend of 3,000 euros per year. Okay, first I got when I landed in my first country, and then there's a settling cost जो आपको सिर्फ एक दफा मिलता है शुरू में, just to help you settle in, find a place, और जो भी खर्चा अखराजात होते हैं उसके लिए. तो उसके लिए you get 1,000 euros only once, and then of course to help you throughout the whole 2 years you get your monthly stipend, जो कि आपके महीने के खर्चे होते हैं, your rent and stuff, खाने पीने, वो monthly stipend में होते हैं. That's like 1,000 euro per month, and this is what I'm getting in the old scheme. So but recently what EU has done is that they have started a new scheme in which your tuition will be covered, health coverage will be full, you won't have to pay anything by yourself, लेकिन आपकी monthly stipend जो होगी वो 1,400 euros हो जाएगी, from increase from 1,000 to 1,400, but you won't get any travel stipend of 3,000 euro per year, right? And you won't have any settling costs initially. So आपके पहले महीने से आखिरी महीने तक आपको monthly सिर्फ 1,400 euros मिलेंगे. But अगर आप over 24 months इसको sum करें तो the new scheme is like, it gives you like 2,000 more euros in total, but that's almost balanced, right? So I'm currently under the old scheme, and अभी new scheme शुरू होने वाला है. It was supposed to start in 2022, but जहाँ तक मुझे पता है जो नए scholarship holders ने बताया था कि नहीं, the old scheme is still being followed. So do your research, know what your program will be offering. Anyways, moving on. The application, I'm sure there will be many questions on this and many questions about Erasmus Mundus Scholarship as well. मुझे पता है, but you can always ask more questions. There will be way more questions to ask. So in application जो आपकी basic requirements होती है, हमने ने काफ़ी सारी चीज़ें mention की थी. उनमें से है आपकी bachelors या masters, and you should have a good GPA. How much does it matter? सब कुछ GPA पे नहीं depend करता, या बिल्कुल भी लो ना हो, या सिर्फ आपके पास GPA ना और कुछ भी ना हो. That's also not favorable. So again, as Hamna mentioned, आपके पास IELTS score भी होना चाहिए. It should be like good enough. Let's say usually what I've seen in Erasmus scholarships and in Erasmus program की requirements, हर program की requirement different होती है. Keep that in mind. हर program की requirement अलग होती है. I'll repeat again. हर program की requirement अलग होती है, right? So IELTS score will also depend. So जो सबसे basic threshold होता है, that is around 5.5 or 6.5 is the minimum. So it's best to have it above this. And your nationality also matters, is that you should be Pakistani, and it depends on your grants as well and your travel allowance. तो उस हिसाब से मिलता है आपको. And of course, you should have a lot of recommendations from either academic recommendation भी चाहिए होती है, कभी कभार आपको work recommendations भी चाहिए होती हैं, because some programs might be a little high level and they want you to have an experience. So it all depends. For me, my academic recommendations from my professors and my supervisor was enough, right? So application ऐसा होगा कि as I mentioned कि Erasmus की वेबसाइट पे जाओगे, सबसे पहले तो मैं आपको लिंक नहीं दूंगा because you will have to do this yourself, so you better understand it. लेकिन you just Google EMJMD, right? जो first second link होगा, you can go there. It will show a catalog, पूरी list होगी आपके पास of all the different programs they're offering, right? तो अगर आपने अप्लाई करना हो, ये जो लिस्ट अपडेट होती है every October or November, तब आपकी क्या कहते हैं actual application process शुरू होगा around October November. That's when I started. So तब list आपकी आती है, and then you select the ones you want to apply for. At my time, I could only apply for 3, but now there's no limit to any application. You can apply to as many as you want. All right. Excuse me. So you select the courses, और हर course की अलग-अलग requirements होंगी, अलग web page होगी जहाँ पे आपने apply करना है, right? So let me give you an example. एक टीस था जो मेरा था और एक मैस फॉर्म था जो मैंने अप्लाई किया था. So टीस की अलग वेबसाइट थी, वहाँ पे अलग उनकी रिक्वायरमेंट्स थी. उन्होंने एक लेटर ऑफ मोटिवेशन मांगा था और एक I guess there was another essay. Yeah, they had to write an essay, but in mass form they only required one essay, right? So इस तरह की छोटी-छोटी differences होंगी उनकी, right? So you'll have to keep that in mind. But generally आपकी क्या कहते हैं CV must है या CV resume must है, recommendations आपके must है, essays must है, your IELTS, your and your GPA, and all of these things are must. ठीक है. So once you apply those courses, you select those courses, you apply to them separately. ठीक है. अब confusing हो जाता है because there are like 4 different universities. आप किसको apply करना है? नहीं. No need to apply to individual universities. ठीक है. You just apply to that program, क्योंकि उस program में automatically वो 3-4 universities आपकी collaborated हैं. So you just need to apply to only one program, right? So I'll tell you this again, they all differ. मैं इसीलिए सिर्फ अपने टीस के बारे की एप्लीकेशन के बारे में नहीं बताऊंगा क्योंकि हर प्रोग्राम डिफरेंट होता होगा. आप लोगों के लिए अलग शायद प्रोग्राम अपील करे. It all depends. So you'll have to do your own research, as Hamna mentioned in the tips. अपनी research must करो. Nobody is going to spoon feed you. नस्ट ने किसी हमें बिल्कुल नहीं हेल्प किया था. Even though they didn't help, you have to do the grind yourself. ठीक है, अपनी research खुद करो. Nobody is going to come and help you a lot. But if possible, अपने दोस्तों की जरूर help किया करो. All right, as Hamna said, we were helping each other throughout. We were reading each other's statement of purpose, letter of motivation. एक दूसरे की CVs हम देख रहे थे, helping each other, prepare for the interview. By the way, that has to be mentioned that in an application, once you get in, once you get a reply from your program, you might have an interview or you will have to submit your own video, right? So keep that in mind as well. So help each other prepare for the interview or videos. Like one of my colleagues, Jafar, he's also a very good friend of mine. He's in Germany right now. So उसने hostel में मेरी help की थी to make a video and else. Anyways, so that was basically the process. I'm sure आप लोगों के पास बहुत सारे सवाल होंगे. आहिस्ता आहिस्ता पूछना. Just keep that in mind. And moving on, my own experience. I'm sure this is a very important part. हमने अपना experience share किया. मैं भी अपना experience share करूँगा, but a little less technical and more as a general experience of studying in Europe. All right, so as you can see in this picture, हम अलग-अलग चेहरे हैं हमारे यहाँ पे. हर किस्म के, हर दुनिया के हर कोने से आ रहे हैं क्योंकि हमारी जो क्लास है, we are a class of 27 और 27 में 23 different countries के लोग हैं हम. 23 different किस्म के लोग. Like अगर आपकी क्लास में 5 भी different मुल्कों के हो ना, you will feel really different in a new setting. Now imagine 23 different countries, right? They're everywhere. Even people, our classmate is from India as well. I'm sure that thing appeals to Pakistanis a lot and to Indians alike. But sometimes they're your really good friends as well. Okay. So again, it's very multicultural. बहुत इतना culture influx मैंने कभी नहीं देखा. Even though I've traveled Pakistan a lot, लेकिन इतना influx मैंने कभी नहीं देखा. So that will give you a lot of exposure. बहुत ही ज़्यादा आपको exposure मिलेगा. अगर आप एक ही country में जाते हो, just like Hamna is doing, she's in Amsterdam, वहाँ पे उसको इतना exposure मिला है. तो now imagine traveling to multiple countries every 2 semester or every single semester and meeting new people every time. But it's a huge exposure. So my own experience was that my first country was Portugal. I stayed in Lisbon. और मेरे कोर्स में ऐसा होता है कि every semester we go to a new country. So मेरा first semester Portugal में था और second मेरा semester Ireland में था जो अभी खत्म हुआ है. Now I'm going to do an internship over here. It was a requirement of my university. So next in the third semester I'll be going to Poland and finally मैं अपना program खत्म करूँगा Austria में in Krems. So in my own experience, this will help me build a lot of connections जो कि अभी तक already मैंने बहुत कुछ सीख लिया, बहुत ज़्यादा सीखा है. and I'm sure Hamna can agree with me as well, क्योंकि एक नए country में living in a new environment with new kinds of people with in a new culture helps you learn more about them, लेकिन आपको अपने बारे में बहुत पता चलना शुरू हो जाता है, like how humans behave, how you have to behave around people and everything, the courtesy, your manners and everything matters. जो आपकी upbringing में अम्मी अब्बू ने तक आपको जो सिखाया था वो तक यहाँ पे प्ले होता है. Everything matters over here, and you develop this new mindset in such a place. I cannot point out what kind of mindset that is, but I can only say आपकी inclusivity बढ़ जाती है, ठीक है, आप you learn to accept other people as they are, ठीक है, and you just become more humble in such cases, right? And again, बहुत exposure होगा आपको, right? Many people say Erasmus में पार्टियां होती हैं, नहीं, सिर्फ पार्टी नहीं होती, बहुत पढ़ाई होती है. And how they would say कि I was told this as well कि जब आप मास्टर्स में बाहर मुल्क जाओगे तो वहाँ पे तो पढ़ाई आसान है, ये नहीं होता. वो तो बैचलर्स में अगर आप ना पढ़ना चाहो तो आप नहीं पढ़ सकते, ठीक है, आप जाके पार्टियां मारो करो, लेकिन इट्स नॉट लाइक दैट. यू हैव टू स्टडी, यू हैव टू बी ऑन द ग्राइंड ऑल द टाइम, ठीक है. आपको सिर्फ पढ़ना नहीं होता, आपको बहुत चीज़ें और भी साथ मतलब सीखनी पड़ती हैं, लाइक कुकिंग, वॉशिंग योर क्लोथ्स, डूइंग ग्रोसरीज, और क्या कहते हैं, रेंट आप पे करना, और मतलब घर ढूंढना, घर को संभालना, सफाई करना, एंड दिस एंड दैट, ठीक है. यू लर्न अ लॉट ऑफ थिंग्स. आई जस्ट वांट टू मेंशन दिस वन थिंग आई लर्नड फर्स्ट व्हेन आई वेंट टू पोर्चुगल. मुझे नाश्ते के अलावा कुछ बनाना नहीं आता था, लेकिन फिर मेरी अम्मी ने मुझे बहुत हेल्प किया इसमें और मुझे कुछ बनाना सिखाया, और मेरा सबसे पहला जो खाना था वो आलू भुजिया था पोर्चुगल में. बट इन पोर्चुगल मैंने ये रियलाइज किया कि हमारी अम्मियों ने इतनी मेहनत की होती है, इतनी मेहनत की होती है हमारे ऊपर. जब वहाँ पे आप इंटरनेशनल एनवायरनमेंट में आप खुद होते हो, खुद खाना बनाना होता है, खुद खाना होता है, खुद बर्तन धोना होते हैं, खुद घर धोना होता है, साफ करना होता है, कमरा साफ करना होता है, और पढ़ना भी होता है, और ट्रैवल भी करना होता है साथ. नाउ इमेजिन ऑल ऑफ दिस. इसमें आप यू आर जस्ट लाइक अ ह्यूज सैल्यूट टू माय मॉम कि उन्होंने इतनी मेहनत की थी टू ब्रिंग यू अप, एंड यू जस्ट स्टार्ट टू बी ग्रेटफुल अबाउट ऑल द एक्सपीरियंसेस यू हैव हैड सो फार. ओके, तो उसके अलावा ट्रैवलिंग अपॉर्चुनिटीज बहुत ज़्यादा होती हैं, especially being in a Schengen area. Hamna is also in a Schengen area. Netherlands is a Schengen country. That means कि Schengen के अंदर जो भी countries आती हैं, आप वहाँ पे travel freely कर सकते हो on a single visa, right? तो traveling बहुत होती है. I have been to Hamna. I've visited Hamna twice, and हम लोग Germany भी गए हैं साथ, and traveled there with our other friend Jafar and a couple of other friends. And traveling से एक्सपोजर फन अलग, और एक्सपोजर और नई नई जगह देखने को आपको मिलती है. तो वर्किंग अपॉर्चुनिटीज आपको बहुत ज़्यादा मिलती हैं. आई गॉट लाइक ड्यू टू माय कनेक्शन एंड नोइंग पीपल हियर एंड सेटलिंग इन वेल, इसकी वजह से मुझे क्या कहते हैं, आई वाज एक्सपोज टू न्यू अपॉर्चुनिटीज. इसीलिए मुझे इंटर्नशिप मिली थी यहाँ पे. माय इंटर्नशिप इज इन वन ऑफ द बिग फोर्स, अर्नस्ट एंड यंग, which is a 2-month summer internship. तो वो भी इसीलिए मुझे मिली थी because I got opportunities over here. If I were in Pakistan, शायद मुझे ना मिलती इस तरह की, क्योंकि मैं उस तरह की एक्सपीरियंस में एक्सपोज नहीं हुआ होता, राइट. तो ओवरऑल आपकी सोशल ग्रोथ बहुत ज़्यादा होती है, राइट. अब 27 लोगों में 23 डिफरेंट कंट्रीज के लोगों से बातचीत करना आपको आता है, आपकी सोशल इंटरेक्शंस बहुत इंप्रूव होती हैं. अब जो हम आपस में मजाक करेंगे वो शायद किसी और को ऑफेंड करे, ठीक है, या कोई और जो मजाक कर रहे हैं वो आपको ऑफेंड करे, ठीक है. सो हाउ यू लर्न, हाउ यू इंटरेक्ट विद पीपल एंड हाउ यू टॉक टू देम, it all changes and you grow a lot through this, a lot. वैसे ही अगर मैं बताऊंगा, अगर आप एक कंट्री में आते हो, नए कंट्री में आते हो, एक हफ्ते के अंदर जो आपको इतनी इंफॉर्मेशन मिलती है, you won't be able to imagine. हर किस्म की इंफॉर्मेशन आपको आती है. एनीवेज, मैं बहुत ज़्यादा बोल रहा हूँ, बट दिस इज समथिंग आई बिलीव इट वाज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट टू मेंशन. एक्सपीरियंस क्या कहते हैं, अदर देन दैट, जैसे हमने मेंशन किया था, शायद मैं थोड़ा उसका बताऊँ कि मैंने अपने 6th सेमेस्टर में अलॉन्ग साइड हमना I started applying for Erasmus and multiple other places. और हमने ने तो Excel बनाई थी. She is very क्या कहते हैं, organized and everything. I'm also organized, लेकिन मैंने क्या कहता, मैंने एक शीट लगाई थी अपनी दीवार पे, हॉस्टल की दीवार पे, एंड आई जस्ट यूज्ड टू लिस्ट डाउन ऑल द यूनिवर्सिटीज आई नीड टू अप्लाई टू, डेडलाइंस वगैरह. आप नोट्स भी कर सकते हो, लेकिन ऑलवेज मेक नोट्स, ऑलवेज मेक नोट्स. तो उसके अलावा वीज़ा प्रोसेस मेरे लिए इतना आसान नहीं था जितना हमने के लिए था. सो बी रेडी फॉर एनीथिंग, ठीक है, बट डोंट बी लेट डाउन, कभी रुकना नहीं है. ऑलवेज कीप मूविंग एंड ऑलवेज कीप योर होप्स अप. So I had to like do things on my own mostly because मेरा घर भी मतलब दूर था, तो इसीलिए इस्लामाबाद में होते हुए मुझे यूजुअली चीज़ें खुद करनी पड़ी थी. Anyways, okay, बहुत सवाल होंगे, बहुत सवाल होंगे. I think I'll just wrap up my presentation right now. We are past 1 hour mark, so that is it. Thank you. That's a little picture for you guys, जो एक doggy की picture मैंने खुद ली थी. And if you have more questions, आप अभी पूछ सकते हो, या later on you can reach out to my Instagram या LinkedIn, anywhere you like. I should have had dropped my email in there as well. But anyways, thank you guys. I hope you liked it. I'll just stop sharing right now and hoping कि आप लोग अभी तक सुन रहे थे और मेरी आवाज़ और वीडियो सारी आ रही थी. All right.
I'm just dropping your email in the chat.
Thank you.
Oh, and I would like to add something, that just because we are studying abroad, that does not mean we have forgotten Pakistan. We still love Pakistan a lot, and we still love the people in Pakistan. I honestly, after I have lived here for, it's been 8-10 months. After living here for 10 months, I can 100% vouch and say that Pakistani people are undoubtedly the best people that you will meet. You will definitely meet a lot of good people here, but the connections that you have during your bachelors with your friends, the kind of friends that you will make will definitely be a lot better, and it will always be home and a safe space for you. So I would just like to mention that your roots are always going to be there for you, and for sure both of us will come back very soon to Pakistan, and we will serve our country, specifically in terms of the environment, in terms of climate change, and that is definitely what we would like to do.
Thank you so much, both of you. This is such a great explanation. Hope these presentations have answered lot of ambiguities that the students have in their mind. Now we'll shift towards the question answer session. I would like to let you guys know about the protocol for asking the questions. So kindly listen carefully. You should raise your hand using the option raise hand on your screen, and then we will unmute you guys in a specific order. So you should ask the question. So I think you should also wait patiently because everyone has a right to answer the question. So kindly be patient.
Okay, I think he's disconnected. लेकिन at the same time मैं बताऊँ, just think your question, and if you don't want to speak, you can write it in the chat. Chat में लिख लें, and we can just see it from here. Yeah, raise your hand and they'll unmute you.
I think we lost the connection here. So I think I was telling about the protocol for asking the question. Am I audible? Can anyone confirm this?
Yes, yes, yes.
I I was explaining the protocol. So I would like to let you guys know about the protocol for asking the question. Every participant should raise his hand if he has any kind of question in his mind. Then we will unmute you guys in specific order so that you should ask the questions. Basically, you have to. Everyone has a lot of question in their mind, so you should try to cover your all question in a single kind of question so that everyone has fair chance to ask the questions. Plus, I think some of you have to wait patiently for the question of the session. For the question for your turn, so kindly be patient because it is a free webinar. Everyone has a right to ask a question. Now, I think we should shift towards the question of the session.
Asan,
Kindly start raising your hand.
Asan, I think should we start with the chat first, because some people had questions over there, and maybe if we just answer these, काफी लोगों के सवाल वैसे ही answer हो जाएंगे.
Yes, sir. Okay.
Okay. Hamna, would you like to
Sir,
take
I
the
have
first
written their
question?
question.
Okay, okay, perfect.
Should
Do you
I
want to read out?
tell you questions or?
Yeah.
Okay, so question is how many working hours allowed per week there for master students?
Abhi ke liye, Hamna will also tell you more about this because she's currently undergoing an internship. Working hours under my visa and my residence permit in Ireland and overall in Europe, it's 20 hours per week. हम काम कर सकते हैं. It's allowed, but in summers you can work full time. That is 40 hours per week.
So for the Netherlands, I think it's 16 hours, but if it is a student internship that you're doing in alignment to your degree, then there is no limit. You can work for the full time.
Yep.
Okay, thank you. So next question is, can a good GRE score compensate my GPA?
I don't think GRE matters, right? GRE की जरूरत ही नहीं है.
I think GRE is more for Fulbright because it's more accepted towards non-European places. So like I think the US and so on and so forth look into GRE. Yes, your good GRE could potentially compensate for your GPA depending on how bad it is. Also, I would like to point out that it does not matter. Of course, GPA plays a very important role, but I have seen people who you would call a bad GPA, who've had a bad GPA, who are still studying abroad, and they have managed to make it work because you can compensate for it with a lot of other things that you're doing. Done extracurriculars or activities that do align with what you want to study, then you can definitely sort of try to compensate with that. But that does not mean that you do not study because a GPA does play a very important role. I think it's the first thing that any admission committee, even now, I think even for internships, I think it's the first thing that they look at is your GPA basically.
Yeah, kabhi kabhar, there's sometimes a GPA cutoff as well. Like below it, your application will just straight off get rejected. Okay. For example, there's a lower cutoff of 2.8. After that, they won't even consider your application. But if it's around like let's say 2.9 or something, you will be considered like one of the lower GPAs. But if you have like other like the achievements like internships आपके हो गई, आपने चीजें ऑर्गेनाइज करवाई हैं या आपके पास अदर और भी बहुत सारी skills हैं, so that can compensate. It's like Hamna said. Next question, please.
Okay, thank you, sir. Next question is, which country gives best stipends?
I think ये Erasmus से related है क्योंकि देखो जो stipends मिलती हैं ये आपको यूरोपियन यूनियन की तरफ से मिलती हैं. No matter what country you're in, your stipend will stay the same. अब now I was in Portugal पहले, मुझे तब भी 1,000 euro मिल रहे थे, और now I'm in Dublin, मुझे अभी भी 1,000 euro मिल रहे हैं. But it depends, like they do not pay directly for your living, they do not pay directly for your traveling, they just give you the money और they expect you to deal with it yourself. You're a grown up, आप खुद करो कहते हैं. ठीक है, कहते हैं ये आपके पास पैसे हैं, आप अपने इसमें रेंट खुद दें, अपना घर खुद ढूंढें, रेंट खुद दें, और अपना खाना पीना खुद करें, अपनी ट्रैवलिंग खुद करें, सेविंग करनी वो भी कर लें. इट्स बेस्ट टू सेव बाय द वे. तो स्टाइपेंड कोई कंट्री आपको नहीं देता. बट अगर आप वर्किंग के लिहाज से कह रहे हो फॉर इंटर्नशिप्स या पार्ट टाइम वर्क, इट डिपेंड्स ऑन कंट्रीज एज वेल. लेकिन जिस कंट्री में आपको पैसे ज़्यादा मिल रहे हैं वो कंट्री महंगा भी बहुत होगा. ठीक है, सो कीप दैट इन माइंड. हमने और मैं इस वक्त जिस कंट्री में हैं, सो दीज आर कंसिडर्ड वन ऑफ द टॉप मोस्ट एक्सपेंसिव कंट्रीज. लेकिन उस हिसाब से भी हमें मतलब वेजेस यहाँ पे ऐसे ही हैं, उस हिसाब से हमें वेजेस मिलते हैं.
And I think they cut taxes. I think they cut taxes. So at the end of the day, throughout Europe, it's mostly balanced out how much you have at the end of the day, because the taxes depend on the country that you're in. So if you earn a lot, आपके taxes भी बहुत ज़्यादा कटते हैं.
Oh, speaking of taxes, thank you for pointing out, Hamna. स्टाइपेंड पे taxes नहीं कटते. आप जो grants होते हैं उसमें आपके taxes नहीं कटते. और anything you earn out you through your university, at least जहाँ तक मुझे पता है डबलिन में ऐसा हुआ है कि एक पार्ट टाइम अपॉर्चुनिटी आई थी यूनिवर्सिटी में, बट दे वर पेइंग मी, उसमें टैक्स नहीं कर रहे थे बिकॉज आई वाज वर्किंग एज अ स्टूडेंट. right? या कम करते हैं. All right, next.
Okay, thank you, sir. So next question is, what are the main aspects that Erasmus Mundus use to look at the students? Is it research orientation or academic record or projects?
As I'll say again, Talha ने सवाल पूछा है कि every क्या कहते हैं program is different, ठीक है? कुछ research oriented ज़्यादा होंगे, कुछ project oriented होंगे, ठीक है? It all depends. अब हमारे जो था प्रोग्राम, उसमें हमसे ये बताया था कि आप एक कॉन्फ्रेंस भी ऑर्गेनाइज करवा लें, तो मोर लाइक अ प्रोजेक्ट, ठीक है? तो हमने कॉन्फ्रेंस ऑर्गेनाइज करवाया था, लेकिन काफ़ी रिसर्च भी हो सकते हैं, बट एट द एंड हमने रिसर्च तो करनी है ना, लेकिन इट जस्ट डिपेंड्स, यू जस्ट हैव टू डू योर ओन रिसर्च अगेन. और what main aspects that Erasmus Mundus used to look at the students? I don't understand the question, लेकिन मेरे ख्याल में स्टूडेंट में क्या देखते हैं बिफोर लाइक दे एक्सेप्ट देम, आई गेस इट्स देयर होल पिक्चर. आप एज अ पर्सन कैसे हो, आप मोटिवेटेड हो कि नहीं, या जो आप चीज़ें बोल रहे हो वो सच में आप कर सकते हो कि नहीं, या किया है कि नहीं, या आप जो आप चीज़ें बोल रहे हो इन योर मोटिवेशन, क्या आप वो करना चाहते हो या कर सकते हो, या आप सच भी बोल रहे हो कि नहीं. तो जस्ट स्टे ट्रू टू योरसेल्फ, झूठ ना बोलो, इट्स नॉट गोना गेट यू एनीवेयर. Next, please.
Okay, sir. Next question is, rate out of 10 how much ranking for university matters. Like we should aim for like top 10, 100 universities or look for good country list.
Hamna will be best answering this.
Okay, I would like to mention that I don't think it is as important as we make it to be. And also, if you're applying for a university, it is a lot more than the ranking. It also depends on what you're studying. Sometimes universities have program-wise ranking. So some programs could be ranked very high on the world list, whereas the overall university could not be ranked as well. So I think it all really depends. I do not think that you should be like, I'm only going to apply to the top 100. Definitely, if you look at something that's the top 100, make it a priority. But that does not mean that you do not apply to places that are not in the top 100. Also, an important thing to consider is, as far as I know, if you do plan on working in Pakistan, there is something called some universities are not accredited by HEC, which makes it difficult to find work later on. So I would highly recommend going through that list. I'm not sure where you can find it. I think it is on HEC's portal. I would highly recommend going through that list first to make sure that if there is a university that is not listed in the top 100 or 200 and you're applying and you want to apply to it, then just make sure कि वो वाली university HEC की accredited list में है या नहीं है. Because I know of a few cases or one or two people, let's say, who are still struggling after 4 or 5 years to find a job because their university that they studied at was not accredited by HEC or not recognized by HEC. So this is something I would say look into. Do not just look into the idea or this perception or this image that, oh, if it's a top 100 university, then I'm going to apply, and if it's not, I'm not going to. Practical matters ko zyada dekhna zaruri hai, so just make sure that it is accredited, that wherever you go to, even if it is not in the top 100, it is acceptable everywhere, specifically if you want to work in Pakistan. You can add something.
I want to add something. Even if it's like a top 100 university, लेकिन वो country ऐसी है जहाँ पे आप जाना नहीं चाहते, ठीक है? So that can also matter. But Habna was very lucky and a smart one कि उसको Amsterdam भी जाना था और top 100 में भी करना था. So she got both of those. But it all depends. It all depends, as हमने said, कि एक कोई hard and fast rule नहीं है इसके लिए. आप अपनी research करो. I say this a lot. अपनी research जरूर करना यार. हाँ.
Next.
Okay, thank you, sir. So next question is, in order, what matters most from academic career? Most people say statement of purpose matters a lot. Any tips for SOP?
You can start, Mobin.
What matters most from academic career? Mostly a statement of purpose matters a lot. Dude, everything matters. सब कुछ matter करता है इसमें. Statement of purpose में जैसा हमना का, I liked how one of Hamna's tip, like कि your motivation letter is not your CV, ठीक है? अपनी CV copy paste करके ना बोलना. उसमें जस्ट शो देम कि आप एक्चुअली एक इंसान है जिसने इस क्या कहते हैं स्कॉलरशिप के लिए अप्लाई करनी है एंड यू आर एक्चुअली मोटिवेटेड फॉर इट, ठीक है। क्यों मोटिवेटेड है, देन यू गिव योर बैकग्राउंड, एक दो सीवी की चीजें अगर उसमें से रेलेवेंट हैं जो आप ऐड करना चाहते हैं, लेकिन एनीथिंग थिंग यू ऑर्गेनाइज बिकॉज यू आर रियली मोटिवेटेड फॉर इट, ऐड कर लो, राइट। स्टेटमेंट ऑफ पर्पस आपका यही होना चाहिए, ज्यादा जेनेरिक भी ना रखना, ठीक है, बट इट शुड बी लाइक ट्राई टू टेलर इट टू एवरी प्रोग्राम। अब मैं रिन्यूएबल एनर्जी में करना चाहता हूँ, क्यों करना चाहता हूँ, जस्ट बिकॉज आई एम एन एनवायरमेंटल इंजीनियर, नहीं, क्योंकि मैं चाहता, आई रियली वांट टू मेक अ डिफरेंस इन द वर्ल्ड, और मेरा इंटरेस्ट है। कैसे इंटरेस्ट है, मैंने थीसिस पे भी इसका काम किया था, मैंने बचपन से ये चीजें देखी हैं, समथिंग लाइक दैट, एनीथिंग, इट कुड बी एनीथिंग। अगर आप बचपन से कुछ भी नहीं देख रहे, अचानक से एक साल में आपने चीजें अचानक से चेंज कर ली हैं, वो भी मेंशन कर लो, इट टोटली मैटर, यू डोंट हैव टू बी लाइक इंटरेस्टेड इन इट सिंस योर बर्थ, ठीक है। बहुत सारी चीजें होती हैं, आपके इंटरेस्ट ओवर टाइम चेंज होती हैं, ठीक है, एंड दे नो इट। or tips for statement of purpose, I think I gave them, right? Just be honest, be very honest, क्योंकि अगर इंटरव्यू में आप वो चीजें नहीं, और बाय द वे कीप योर इंग्लिश वेरी लाइक कंसाइज, नॉर्मल, बड़े बड़े अल्फाज इस्तेमाल करने की जरूरत बिल्कुल नहीं है। अगर आपके इंटरव्यू में आप क्या कहते हैं उस तरह के सवाल और उस तरह के क्या कहते हैं पॉइंट्स आप पेश ना कर पाओ, तो फिर तो रह गए, कह रहे इसी से लिखवाया है इसने, ठीक है। सो जस्ट राइट इट योरसेल्फ, खुद सीखोगे।
I think I would like to pick up from what Mobin just said. The most important factor that they're looking at is that there's a human sitting behind who has filled in the application. That is what they want to see, that there's a student, there is a motivated student sitting there. CV उन्होंने आपकी पढ़ ली है, but your letter of motivation, as far as what I've learned and my personal experience, your letter of motivation shows your personality. It does not show your experiences. It shows what you are, who you are, why you are that person. So make sure that your letter of motivation portrays that to the person that is going to read it, because they have not seen you, they have not spent time with you, they don't know you. All that they know is from that letter of motivation. So make sure that it is a good reflection of who you are and what you are.
Well said, yes.
Okay, sir, thank you. The next question is quite lengthy, and I would recommend if you can read it on yourself so that it would be not waste of time.
The thing about budget?
Yes, sir. That is very important.
Yes, I was just looking at that. What about budget? How much budget do we need for application process and start up in any potential country? Do we need to get enrolled, like some scholarships, we need bank statement and things like that? Okay. हमना आप बोलेंगे या मैं बोलूं?
आप start करें.
Okay, so it's a very good question, क्योंकि ये actual problem आती है जब actual scholarship मुझे मिल गई थी, ठीक है, लेकिन जब तक मैं उस कंट्री पहुंचा 1 महीना नहीं हुआ मेरे पास, मुझे पैसे नहीं मिले थे उनको, क्योंकि मेरा बैंक नहीं बना था। दे ट्रांसफर यू द मनी व्हेन योर बैंक इज मेड बेसिकली, ठीक है। तो तब तक आई वाज सपोर्टिंग माई सेल्फ ऑन माई ओन मनी, जो मेरे पेरेंट्स ने मुझे शुरू में थोड़े दिए थे। आपकी टिकट वगैरह खुद होती है, ठीक है, आप खुद पे करते हो शुरू में, वो बाद में आपको पैसे ट्रैवल, वो दे आर मोर देन इनफ 3000 यूरोज की मैं ट्रैवल अलाउंस बता दो, दैट्स मोर देन इनफ, लेकिन आप बाद में सेव करके आप कंपनसेट कर सकते हो। सो शुरू के लिए जो एप्लीकेशन के लिए बजट है, आई पेड लाइक फीस के लिए मैंने दिए टोटल मेरे एरास्मस के लिए 4 से 6 हज़ार लगे थे, आई गेस, बहुत साल हो गया है, लेकिन बाकी यूनिवर्सिटीज के लिए मैंने अप्लाई किया था, उनकी एप्लीकेशन फीस होती है। सो ऑल एंड ऑल आई थिंक मैंने 40-45,000 रुपीज़ लगाए थे टोटल एप्लीकेशन में, क्योंकि ये कुछ मतलब यू मस्ट, अगर मैं कहता हूँ कि इवन दो आई वाज रिजेक्टेड बाय क्या कहते हैं, आई थिंक ऑक्सफोर्ड है, कैम्ब्रिज था एंड यूनिवर्सिटी ऑफ टोरंटो, जिसमें मैंने 15-20 हज़ार रुपये लगाए थे, तो बट डू अप्लाई। मैं खुश हूँ कि एटलीस्ट मैंने अप्लाई किया था और मुझे रिजेक्शन मिली थी, लेकिन अप्लाई करो एंड जस्ट डोंट वरी अबाउट द बजट। अगर तुम्हें लगता है कि ये पैसे कम है, आगे इन फ्यूचर अगर आपको मिल जाता है तो आपको रिटर्न ज़्यादा अच्छा होता है, ठीक है। सो डोंट शाय अवे। मैं क्या कहते हैं अपना क्या कहते हैं पार्ट टाइम जॉब से हमने वो सब लेके मैं अप्लाई करते जा रहा था, ठीक है, आई डोंट केयर अबाउट द मनी, आई एम रियली हैप्पी वेयर आई एम राइट नाउ, इवन दो कि मैंने इतने पैसे लगाए थे, ठीक है। तो हाउ मच बजट, Hamna, do you want to add something to that? इस question के second part से मैं जाने से पहले.
I think the first thing I would like to say is that, like I mentioned, I'm going to come back to my Excel sheet, but I think the Excel sheet helps because through that I could see what application fees was required for each of the different applications, and then I could shortlist because I'm obviously not going to be able to pay for all of them. Nobody is going to be able to pay for all of the applications. So you can then prioritize and look into which one you actually want to apply to depending on your budget, because everybody has a very different budget. And to add to Mobin, I think with Erasmus you can pay 6,000 and apply to up to 4 to 5 programs.
It really depends. कुछ free होती हैं, कुछ की fees होती है.
Okay, well, I think you can pay a certain amount and apply to more than one program with Erasmus, at least as far as I know. Joe, when it comes to independent universities, they do end up charging more. So yes, we've paid like 15,000, 16,000 rupees as well, and we've been rejected from those places as well. So it's all right. I really hope it's worth it when you spend that money. It will be worth it if you spend that money, as long as you make sure you're doing what you need to do properly. And when it comes to rejections, just a small point, it is totally okay to have rejections. I remember, I think I was the first person among our group of friends to get rejected from one of the places. And I remember crying my eyes out. And at that time, Mubin said to me, "Jab tak kahin se rejection nahi aayegi, tab tak kahin aur se acceptance nahi aayegi," and that is totally okay. So get rejected. It's a part of life. So it's totally fine to get rejected. And I think we can go to the second question.
Yeah.
Like in some scholarships, we need bank statement and things like that. I think for most scholarships in Germany, you do require a block account, as far as I know. So they do require to submit a statement. For me, after the application process was over, after I got accepted and everything, then they required me to send in my parents' financial statement. So not a block account where they had to put in money, but just a financial statement to show them that yes, they are earning, and in case of any problems, they're able to support me. So again, it depends country to country. It depends place to place.
Yeah, blocked account is something very important. कि अगर आपको Erasmus में or any other scholarship आपको नहीं मिलती and you are still given the acceptance to take part in that, आपको कभी मतलब most probably आपको blocked account बनाना पड़ेगा, and the amount isn't less. कभी कभार बहुत ज़्यादा होती है, depends on the tuition as well. लेकिन usually जो आपके expenses होते हैं वो living expenses बहुत ज़्यादा होते हैं, right? Excuse me. तो उसके लिए आपको ब्लॉक्ड अकाउंट बनाना पड़ता है ताकि आप एटलीस्ट शो कर सको कि हाँ फॉर एटलीस्ट 1 year or 2 year आई कैन सस्टेन माई सेल्फ. ठीक है, लेकिन आगे आपको जॉब्स वगैरह मिलती हैं, आप खुद अर्न करते हो, वो पैसे उधर ही रहने हैं. ठीक है, वो आने आपके पास ही हैं. ठीक है, they're not going to go anywhere. So yeah, I think that's good.
Okay, Asham. I would like to know. I would like to let you know that we have given you the access for the mic, so you can unmute your mic and ask the question. Asham, are you listening?
Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum.
Sir, Mubin, I want to ask from you.
Ji.
Actually, sir, I am from UIT and I have
Okay.
good GPA and everything, and I basically want to go to America. So
ठीक
I
है.
am concerned about scholarships के मैं universities को personal करूँ, मतलब scholarship के लिए apply, या मैं किसी मतलब वहाँ पे अमेरिका के लिए कुछ scholarships हैं मैं उनके लिए apply करूँ. और सेकंड चीज सर कि मैं फाइनल ईयर में अब जाने लगा हूँ, तो मेरी एक रिसर्च
ठीक है.
कितनी मैटर करती है, और सेकंड में 7th सेमेस्टर या मतलब क्या टाइम बेस्ट है जब मैं अप्लाई करना स्टार्ट कर दूं सारी चीजों के लिए, और कब मुझे टेस्ट देने चाहिए?
ओके हशाम, गुड क्वेश्चन. क्या कहते हैं, पहले तो आपने बताया आपका जीपी अच्छा है. अच्छा जीपीए इज रिलेटिव, इट डिपेंड्स. ठीक है, तो दूसरी बात, अमेरिका के लिए अप्लाई करने के लिए इट्स नाइस दैट यू आर अप्लाइंग देयर एंड यू हैव गुड होप्स. और आप मुझे इतने अमेरिका में इंटरेस्ट नहीं था असल में शुरू में, तो मैंने इतनी रिसर्च वगैरह नहीं की, लेकिन जहाँ तक मुझे पता है फुल ब्राइट इज़ वन ऑफ द मेजर क्या कहते हैं स्कॉलरशिप्स फॉर अमेरिका. तो इरास्मस इज़ लाइक द फुल ब्राइट ऑफ यूरोप. ठीक है, लेकिन फुल ब्राइट में आपको बाइंडिंग होगी कि 2 साल के बाद आपको वापस पाकिस्तान आना है. ठीक है, यू कैन नॉट स्टे देयर. अब इरास्मस के लिए कि मैं यहाँ पे रुक सकता हूँ, मुझे कोई बाइंडिंग नहीं है, ठीक है, मैं कहीं भी जाऊँ आफ्टर माई ग्रेजुएशन। लेकिन फुल ब्राइट इज़ वन ऑफ द थिंग्स फॉर अमेरिका, लेकिन उनकी अपनी यूनिवर्सिटी की अपनी ये स्कॉलरशिप्स होंगी, ज़रूर होंगी, राइट। और उसके लिए आई थिंक हम ना टोफल ज़्यादा चलता है ना अमेरिका में, ऐसा
Yeah, I
नो।
think TOEFL and GRE are more important there. Yeah.
या टोफल और जीआरई बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है। और हाँ, रिसर्च का पूछा, रिसर्च डज मैटर, अमेरिका इज़ अ वेरी रिसर्च ओरिएंटेड कंट्री, ठीक है, उन लोगों की रिसर्चेस बहुत ज़्यादा होती हैं, ठीक है। सो इट्स नॉट लाइक कि उस पर आपको डिपेंड करेगा, नहीं, दैट कैन लाइक हेल्प इट अ लॉट। अगर आपका रिसर्च बहुत अच्छा है, क्या पता आपको सब कुछ छोड़ के सिर्फ आपको रिसर्च पे आपको उठाए, या आपका रिसर्च नॉर्मल है तो बाकी चीज़ों पे आपको उठा सकते हैं। anything can matter, but it depends. Let me give you and everybody else a tip कि अगर आपको जो कोई इंटरेस्ट है ना, उस इंटरेस्ट की ना टॉप यूनिवर्सिटीज देखो इन दैट कंट्री, ठीक है। लाइक फॉर एग्जांपल एनवायरमेंटल इंजीनियरिंग, ठीक है, आई वांट सस्टेनेबिलिटी, टॉप environmental engineering country universities in Europe, in America, in Netherlands, okay, ठीक है, और एनीथिंग लाइक दैट, whatever your intentions are, ठीक है। तो उस तरह करके आप खुद शॉर्टलिस्ट करोगे, उनके रिक्वायरमेंट्स देखोगे, डेडलाइंस देखोगे, एनी स्कॉलरशिप्स दे हैव, ठीक है, उन लोगों की ग्रांट्स वगैरह भी होती हैं अमेरिका में। सो या लाइक दैट यू कैन अप्लाई। आई थिंक मैंने जवाब दे दिया है।
थैंक्स अ लॉट सर। सर लास्ट
नो
क्वेश्चन
अच्छा,
अगर
जी
सर मेरा लास्ट क्वेश्चन ये कि मैंने ही टॉप 100 का वो क्वेश्चन पूछा था, क्योंकि सर मुझे रैंकिंग का काफ़ी ज़्यादा होता है। तो सर अगर मैं जैसे यूनिवर्सिटी अमेरिका में, मैं अपनी फील्ड के बारे में किसी भी फील्ड में देखूँ तो 4-5 यूनिवर्सिटीज़ हैं वो टॉप में आती हैं, MIT होगी, डिफरेंट होगी। लेकिन अगर मैं टॉप 50 या 100 एम करूँ, मैं ना टॉप में 10 में जाऊँ, तो क्या मतलब मुझे क्या चीज़ें चाहिए होंगी जो टॉप 50 यूनिवर्सिटीज किसी भी मतलब यूनिवर्सिटी में जाने के लिए चाहिए होती हैं? क्योंकि सर नस्ट मतलब मैं नस्ट में 1 मंथ पढ़ा था, मैं छोड़ दी थी, मैंने साझा किया था नस्ट के लिए। तो नस्ट की भी रैंकिंग बहुत अच्छी है, तो बेसिकली वी वांट के नस्ट से तो बेटर रैंकिंग की वो हम पाए जा रहे हैं।
या ऑफ कोर्स। यार पहली बात, योर क्वेश्चन इज के रैंकिंग मैटर्स अ लॉट, ठीक है, और उसके लिए आपको किस तरह की मतलब प्रोफाइल होनी चाहिए आपके पास। पहली बात, अमेरिका
Yes,
के
sir.
जो टॉप 15 होंगे ना, बहुत कट थ्रोट किस्म की कंपटीशन है, ठीक है। वो लोग जो उधर होंगे ना, वो अलग मखलूक किस्म के होते हैं, ठीक है। बट ये नहीं है कि वो भी इंसान नहीं है, एवरीबडी इज अ ह्यूमन। आई एम श्योर यू विल हैव सम क्वालिटी जो उनको पसंद आए, ठीक है। वो क्या क्वालिटीज हैं ये आपको पता है, ठीक है, यू शुड नो दिस। लेकिन देयर शुड बी समथिंग फॉर दोज यूनिवर्सिटीज, वो भी किसी को भी विद हाई जीपीए पिक कर सकते हैं, ठीक है। बट देयर हैज टू बी समथिंग रियली डिफरेंट अबाउट यू, रियली डिफरेंट अबाउट यू, क्योंकि जिस तरह कि मैंने एक्सेप्ट लोगों को देखा है जो एक्सेप्ट हुए हैं हियर एंड देयर, ठीक है, देयर वाज रियली समथिंग डिफरेंट अबाउट देम। उन्होंने मतलब कुछ ना कुछ डिफरेंट जरूर किया होगा, ठीक है। इवन दो दे माइट हैव लाइक नॉट अ चोका और समथिंग, ठीक है, कुछ ना कुछ उन्होंने डिफरेंट किया होगा। लाइक दे मस्ट हैव हैड अ स्टार्टअप, दे मस्ट हैव हैड लाइक एक्चुअली कोई वॉलंटियरिंग से की होगी जिससे उनका कोई इम्पैक्ट दिखा होगा, बिकॉज दे वर एक्चुअली मोटिवेटेड एंड ड्रिवन, ठीक है ना। तो लेकिन कीप दैट इन माइंड कि दीज क्या कहते हैं, जो टॉप 15, टॉप 100, टॉप 50 वट एवर, ये महंगी भी बहुत होती है, ठीक है। सो यूल हैव टू थिंक अबाउट इट रियलिस्टिकली। सो व्हाट आई हैव डन इज के मैं टीयर्स में अप्लाई करता था। टॉप जो मेरी ड्रीम्स थी, ठीक है, उनमें मैंने अप्लाई किया, ठीक है, जहाँ पे मैं बस जाना चाह रहा था, एंड मैंने आई गेव इट माई ऑल। फिर मिडिल टीयर की यूनिवर्सिटीज थी, ठीक है, जो आती हैं लाइक अराउंड 500 to 100 वाली, या 1000 to 100 की रेंज वाली रैंकिंग यूनिवर्सिटीज, जहाँ पे एक्सेप्टेंसेस की अच्छे चांसेस होती हैं। और लो टीयर यूनिवर्सिटीज होती हैं जहाँ पे मतलब आपका तकरीबन लाइक सेफ ऑप्शन, ठीक है, अगर आपने मास्टर्स करना ही करना है तो मैंने इससे अप्लाई किया था। Maybe Hamna would like to add more.
No, I think I completely agree with what you just said, that anybody who applies to a top 50, I think वो यही देखते हैं कि there needs to be something different about you, क्योंकि अच्छा GPA सबके पास होता है, बहुत लोगों के पास अच्छा GPA होता है। इस तरह की सारी चीज़ें सबके पास होती हैं, सबके पास recommendation letters होते हैं, सबके पास personal statement होता है, but they look for that one thing that stands out in you. And if you have it, तो ठीक है, you will, I really hope you make it inshallah.
और आपकी क्या कहते हैं ओवरऑल प्रोफाइल बहुत मैटर करती है। यू डोंट हैव टू बी shown as सिर्फ चौका लेने वाला. अब हमने, if you allow me, do I tell them about you a bit? Because really proud to say कि she's one of the, क्या कहते हैं, इसी यूनिवर्सिटी जो है टॉप 30 में आती है, और क्या कहते हैं इसका जीपीए भी अच्छा था, बट एट द सेम टाइम इसने क्या कहते हैं और भी वॉलंटियरिंग काम की, इसकी इंटर्नशिप थी इसके पास, शी हैड गुड रिकमेंडेशंस, शी वाज इन द टॉप 3 ऑफ क्या कहते हैं थीसिस हमारी क्लास में, और उसके साथ साथ शी क्या कहते हैं डिबेटिंग में भी इसको बहुत इंटरेस्ट था. शी वाज लाइक इन क्या कहते हैं द सोसाइटीज वगैरह, ठीक है. सो इट काइंड ऑफ शोज अ होल पिक्चर, क्या कहते हैं एक बंदे की पूरी पर्सनालिटी है, सिर्फ पढ़ाई नहीं है, ठीक है. You have to have a lot of aspects about you. Yeah. Okay. Next, I think we need to move on to more people.
Okay, thank you, sir. So next question is, which foreign country accept English proficiency letter for fully funded scholarships?
I think every international country requires an English proficiency letter, unless कुछ ऐसी होती हैं जो आपके क्या कहते हैं बचपन से देखते हैं कि like if you have studied in English medium throughout for a certain amount of years, you don't need an English proficiency, लेकिन usually use करते हैं almost always.
Yeah, I think most places require you to have your IELTS or your TOEFL submitted. Very few places are like that, which say, "Kecha, if you have had your education in English, so it's okay. You can." Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Next.
Okay, Tala, we have enabled your mic access, so you can ask the question.
Assalamu alaikum. Am I audible?
Yes.
Sir, my question is regarding English proficiency certificate. Whether it is necessary to have IELTS for Erasmus Mundus, or English proficiency letter is enough for applying for it?
आपका English proficiency letter ही IELTS होगा. IELTS is the letter that says that you're proficient in English. और
Yes.
Erasmus के
But
लिए
there are
it's important.
I think to clarify his question, he's saying कि कुछ जगहों पे you can just get a letter made which states that you can speak and write in English, but I don't think कि वो most जगहों पे accepted होता है. I think you still need your IELTS, and Erasmus के लिए तो you need your IELTS.
और अगर if you get अगर आप IELTS के टेस्ट देते हो and you get a good grade, तो you can just use it everywhere. कि क्या पता आपको वो लेटर शायद कहीं और चलता ना हो, IELTS तकरीबन हर जगह चलता है.
I hope that answers your question.
Yes.
Okay, Mohammed Shahroz, we have enabled your mic access. You can ask the question.
अस्सलामुअलैकुम सर, मेरा क्वेश्चन ये है कि जहाँ एक जगह बहुत सारे लोगों का अच्छा सीजीपीए होता है, वहीं पे बहुत ऐसे भी हैं हमारे जैसे जो कि लो सीजीपीए वाले हैं, बट ख्वाहिश तो सबकी होती है. तो बात ये है कि मैं इस वक्त 6 सेमेस्टर हो चुका है, अब इंटर्नशिप का टाइम है, हम इंटर्नशिप अप्लाई कर रहे हैं. अब हम 7 सेमेस्टर में हमने जाना है, 1 साल हमारे पास बाकी है. तो हम एक अच्छी इंटर्नशिप करूँ, मैं अच्छी मेहनत करूँ, लो सीजीपीए बाय द वे है, मैं कोशिश कर रहा हूँ मैं इम्प्रूव करूँ, लेकिन क्या हम भी ऐसा कोई जा सकते हैं इस अच्छी यूनिवर्सिटी में? और एक दूसरा मेरा क्वेश्चन ये है कि हमारा जो सा इंटरनेशनल जाना है, मतलब मैंने कि मेरी मैकेनिकल इंजीनियरिंग है, मैं एक इंटेलिजेंट स्टूडेंट था तो बैक साइड से तो बस मैं आ गया, तो बट मेरा जो बेस्ट जो है ना वो मेरा मैकेनिकल इंजीनियरिंग में आ नहीं रहा, मैं बेस्ट लगा नहीं पा रहा. तो क्या मैं आगे फर्दर अगर स्कॉलरशिप हो तो मैं उसमें थोड़ा चेंज कर सकता हूँ अपनी फील्ड थोड़ी सी, क्या ऐसा हो सकता है?
Okay, so first about your GPA, I always think a GPA age, top 100, top 50, top 900 is all just numbers. Okay, they don't really matter उस तरीके से. The motivational answer would be कि yes, you can apply everywhere even with a low GPA, but I think the practical answer is कि if you have a low GPA, then it will be difficult. Not every place will be open for you, and not every place will accept you. There are so many places जिनका cut क्या होता है 3.7 3.5 cut off 3.7 3.5 होता है, and you will not be able to apply to those places. But I think a practical recommendation, and this is live example से मैं बता रही हूँ कि you could try applying to Germany, because they have a lot of different cities which have a lot of different universities which have a lot of different programs. Okay? And you could apply in Germany even with a very low GPA. You can get in because as far as I know, you do not really have to worry about paying your fees in Germany, right? And then you would be left with covering your living expenses. So okay, you did not get a scholarship, but you have been able to get admitted into one of the universities in Germany. And then even if you do not have a scholarship, you do need to cover your living expenses on your own, considering tuition fee nahi deni hoti. So to cover your living expenses on your own, there are still scholarship applications that have nothing to do with studying for your university, and you could still apply for those scholarships even after you've enrolled in your program. So बाद में भी आप वो applications fill कर सकते हैं, and they would give you a monthly stipend or a sum of money at one point. That is an option. You could look for jobs. That is also an option to cover your expenses. You could look for internships to cover your expenses. So it's not always, if you really want to study abroad, it doesn't have to be you have to go on a scholarship. There are ways to work around it. Obviously वो उतना आसान नहीं होता, थोड़ा सा मुश्किल होता है, but it is still possible. It's not impossible. And I forgot what the second part of your question was. Sorry.
Okay, Shazib Ali, now you have the access to answer to the mic. You can answer. You can ask the question, but kindly be precise and don't extend the question.
Okay, sir. Assalamu alaikum, ma'am, sir. I want to ask, what's the general cutoff like that I should aim for? Like, is 3 GPA enough to get me in a good university, or in my personal statement, should I mention the reason why I have not gained a good GPA? And are there universities which like offer courses in English which are not in their native languages? Like आप हॉलैंड में पढ़ी हैं तो यानी courses डच में तो नहीं होते. Like जर्मनी की मैं बात करूँ तो जर्मनी में कुछ courses हैं they offer in Germany. तो इंग्लिश में courses आराम से ऑफर हो जाते हैं, नहीं हो जाते? ये पूछना है.
जहाँ तक नेदरलैंड्स की बात है तो यहाँ पे बहुत कोर्सेज होते हैं. They obviously have their own courses जो डच में होते हैं for their students. लेकिन international है तो almost all of the courses have the English alternative as well, so you can take your courses in English. And I think most countries के लिए इस तरह है. Again वही बात है, like Mobin says, do your research. So you will have to look and check कि कौन सी countries में कौन से कोर्सेज किस लैंग्वेज में ऑफर्ड हैं, लेकिन हर कंट्री में आपको इंग्लिश में कोर्सेज ऑफर हो रहे होते हैं. एंड यू मेंशन कि योर लो जीपीए कैन बी कॉम्पेंसेटेड व्हेन यू राइट अबाउट इट. यस, डेफिनेटली. इफ यू हैव अ लो जीपीए, एक्सप्लेन द रीजंस इन योर पर्सनल स्टेटमेंट. मे बी दैट टर्न्स इनटू एन इंस्पायरिंग स्टोरी फॉर देम एंड दे डोंट रियली केयर एनीमोर, एंड देन यू गेट एक्सेप्टेड. यू नेवर नो.
That's really important. Yes. लेकिन ये भी बात है, अगर आपका वैसे ही लो जीपीए है विदाउट एनी गुड रीजन, तो मतलब वैसे आप अगर कोई बहाने मार रहे हो तो ये हो गया कि आप अपने पाँव पे कुल्हाड़ी मार रहे हो. ठीक है, नो नीड. समटाइम्स इट्स बेटर नॉट टू मेंशन कि आपका लो जीपीए क्यों आया. ठीक है, इफ इट्स जस्ट फॉर रैंडम रीजन. इफ क्या कहते हैं, देयर वाज समथिंग सीरियस दैट हैपेंड विद यू इन योर लाइफ व्हिच रिजल्टेड इन दैट लो जीपीए. ठीक है, या आपने किसी चीज पर कॉम्प्रोमाइज करना पड़ा था फॉर दैट लो जीपीए, तो आप लिख सकते हो. यस, अगेन एज हमना सेड, कुड बी अ मोटिवेटिंग स्टोरी. लेकिन आप ये भी बता सकते हो, अच्छा आपका लो जीपीए है ही है, लेकिन व्हाई शुड दे सेलेक्ट यू, व्हाट आर द अदर रीजंस दे शुड सेलेक्ट यू. ठीक है, आप कितने मोटिवेटेड एंड एवरीथिंग.
And also, just to clarify with the whole GPA question, I know some people who don't have that good GPAs but are one of the smartest people I know, because उनकी real life skills बहुत अच्छी होती हैं. GPAs क्या आपको lectures पे रट्टा लगाना है and you just have to go in the paper. There are so many people who are so much more knowledgeable even with less GPAs. So as long as you portray that to the admission committee and to the person reading it, you'll be good.
Okay, thank you. So next question is, does working experience really matter, or can we get selected whilst doing our bachelors?
Yeah, I think it matters, right? It does matter. लेकिन आप क्या कहते हैं, मतलब क्योंकि समर्स में यूजुअली आपके पास टाइम होता है एंड दीज यूनिवर्सिटीज नो कि आप उस समर्स में क्या कर रहे थे. ठीक है, यूजुअली पीपल डू इंटर्नशिप्स ड्यूरिंग दोस समर टाइम. ठीक है, या अपना जीपीए यूजुअली इंप्रूव करवा रहे होते हैं. लेकिन if you have such work experience, मेरा था, हमना का भी था, लेकिन I can say that मेरा ज़्यादा था, लेकिन I cannot say कि सिर्फ उसकी बेसिस पे मुझे अपना मतलब उन लोगों ने सेलेक्ट किया है. There were really there were a lot of things. तो you cannot say कि आपका वर्क एक्सपीरियंस इतना ज़्यादा मैटर करता है, क्योंकि हमारे साथ in my program right now there are people who have worked for like 7-8 years, और एक मैं हूँ जो फ्रेशली ग्रेड हूँ. ठीक है, तो इट रियली मैटर्स, इट डिपेंड्स. ठीक है, वो अगर कोई आपको एक्सेप्ट कर रहा है तो आपको वर्क के बेसिस पे भी उसके फ्रेम से सेलेक्ट करेगा, और अगर आप फ्रेश ग्रेजुएट है तो आपको उसके फ्रेम से सेलेक्ट करेगा. ठीक है. आई रियली वांट टू टेक अ क्वेश्चन ओवर हियर. मोहम्मद आमिर का इंटरेस्टिंग सवाल है. किसी कंट्री में नमाज वगैरह और पाबंदी तो नहीं है? लाइक आई रियली नो. आप आमिर, आपकी सोच है, इन लोगों की सोच कितनी खुली है? बल्कि मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि पाकिस्तान में लोगों की सोच मतलब थोड़ी ज़्यादा कन्फाइंड है हमसे. यहाँ पे आके दे आर सो ओपन कि आपको समझ भी नहीं आएगी कि ये लोग कितने इतने खुले दिमाग के हो सकते हैं. ठीक है, वी आर इन आवर क्लास इतने डिफरेंट रिलीजन के हम लोग हैं. ठीक है, अगर मैं उनको बोलूँ ना कि मैंने नमाज पढ़नी है, यहाँ पर अगर मेरे कमरे में 30 लोग भी होंगे ना, सारे बाहर निकलेंगे, मुझे अकेला छोड़ेंगे अंदर ताकि मैं नमाज पढ़ सकूं. और ये हुआ है, और मैंने इससे किया. एंड दे नो कि अपनी लिमिट्स उनको पता है. ठीक है, कि मैं मतलब अगर हम कहीं बार वगैरह जाते हैं, उनको पता है कि मैं अल्कोहल नहीं पीता, एंड दे विल नेवर फोर्स मी. कभी उन्होंने मुझसे पूछा नहीं है. मेरे एक जापानीज दोस्त है, कल बल्कि मैं उसके घर भी गया था, तो उसने बाकियों के लिए साके, कहते हैं इट हैज अल्कोहल इन इट, सारों के लिए साके लाया था, मेरे लिए जापान से बिस्किट लाया था. वो इतने अच्छे लोग होते हैं.
And
So,
as far as I know, that's really right, because like Mubin said, they're very caring. They care about your religion, and वो बहुत ज़्यादा इस बात का ख्याल रखते हैं और वो इस बात को बहुत sensitively deal करते हैं. And at the same time, universities में spaces बनाई हुई उन्होंने. We have prayer rooms, proper prayer rooms established. तो कोई भी नहीं रोक रहा आपको, कोई इस तरह की पाबंदी नहीं है.
Yeah.
Mohammad Irfan, you have access to your mic. You can unmute yourself and ask the question. Mohammad Irfan, are you listening to me? You have access to your mic. You can ask the question from the guest speakers.
Okay, sir, let me ask a question. There is a question in chat. If our degree is not accredited, but will be certified after graduation, are we still eligible for abroad scholarship?
Assalamualaikum, sir.
First, let us answer this question. Hamna, go ahead.
Just a second. इस क्वेश्चन का सवाल ये है कि हमारी डिग्री माशाल्लाह से एक्रेडिट नहीं हुई थी. आई डोंट नो अभी भी जाके पीसी ने की है या नहीं की है, बट एंड तक हमें ये प्रॉब्लम थी कि हमारी डिग्री एक्रेडिट नहीं हुई थी. बट इन प्लेस ऑफ दैट यू कैन क्रिएट समथिंग और यू कैन गो टू पीसी एंड गेट समथिंग मेड विच इज़ कॉल्ड अ होप सर्टिफिकेट. तो हमने उसकी जगह सबने पीसी से सर्टिफिकेट बनवा लिया था. एंड वी
मोहम्मद म्यूट करना अपना माइक प्लीज.
इट्स ओके, आई हैव म्यूटेड हिम. तो अगर आपकी डिग्री फ़िलहाल एक्रेडिट नहीं हुई है, बिकॉज हमारे साथ ये इशू था कि पीसी का विजिट हुआ था, बट दे हैडंट एक्चुअली गॉन अहेड विद इट. उन पीसी के इलेक्शंस चल रहे थे तो वो बहुत बिजी थे, बट उस जगह हमने होप सर्टिफिकेट बनवाया था जो पीसी वाले आपको बना के देते हैं, एंड यू कैन यूज़ दैट ऑलमोस्ट एवरीवेयर एंड दैट इज़ एक्सेप्टेबल. तो उसका इतना इशू नहीं होता.
Mohammad Irfan, now you can ask the question. Mohammad Irfan, are you listening? Irfan, this is last time I'm asking the question that are you available? Otherwise, you will disable your mic and you have no longer access to ask the question.
I think we should continue with the chat. थोड़े सवाल
Okay, sir. Next question is, which is the best university for civil engineering?
नहीं पता, नहीं, ये आप खुद रिसर्च करें. Thank you. क्योंकि civil engineering, it's like one Google away. One Google. Best civil engineering university, बस लिखा आएगा. अच्छा. Should I read the questions from the chat?
Mohammed Faisal, you have access to your mic. You
Faisal,
can ask the
okay.
question.
Assalamualaikum.
Walaikum assalam.
My voice is audible to you?
Yes.
Hello?
जी, बोलिए.
Yes, we can hear you.
We can hear you.
Is that my voice is audible to you?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, you are audible. Sir, I think you were reading a question from the chat, so
Yeah,
you can carry.
I'll go with that. Can you recommend the countries based on work permit that should be targeted with or without English proficiency test? Look, if you're coming from Pakistan, usually countries want you to prove that you are an English speaker, क्योंकि किसी भी international environment में आप जाते हो, बहुत ही कम ऐसा होगा कि आपसे पूछें कि आपको उर्दू में जॉब देंगे हम. मोस्ट प्रोबेबली इंग्लिश में ही होगी. ठीक है, तो इंग्लिश प्रोफिशिएंसी आपको यूजुअली चाहिए होती है. ठीक है, लेकिन अब मैं आयरलैंड में हूँ एंड यहाँ पे देयर इट्स लाइक एन इंग्लिश स्पीकिंग कंट्री. ठीक है, एंड दिस इज द ओनली इंग्लिश स्पीकिंग कंट्री इन द होल ऑफ यूरोप. ठीक है, ये नहीं कि बाकी मतलब कंट्रीज इंग्लिश बोलते हैं, ये इन लोगों की मेन लैंग्वेज है इंग्लिश. तो यहाँ पे when I wanted to like do some work at Subway में मैंने काम किया था पार्ट टाइम, तो वहाँ पे उन लोगों ने मुझसे इंग्लिश प्रोफेशनली कुछ भी नहीं पूछा था. एज लॉन्ग एज आई कैन स्पीक, टॉक टू कस्टमर्स, आई एम गुड टू गो. या
Ma'am, there is a question from you. Can you share your Excel sheet containing the name of universities?
The thing is, I do not mind sharing my Excel sheet. मुझे कोई मसला नहीं है. But वही बात है जो मुबीन वाली बात आ जाती है कि right, it will just be everything handed to you. I am sure कि just पहली बात तो the universities that I applied to, I looked into it from an environmental perspective because मुझे उसी field में जाना था. तो definitely मैं बाकी चीजें consider नहीं कर रही थी. तो it really depends on what you want. It does not depend on what I want. I can't vouch for what universities you want to apply for. There's also something that I would like to mention. It's called the Masters Portal. You can go to the Masters Portal. You can enter the country that you would like to apply to. You can look into the programs that you would like to apply to, and uske search bar pe jaise hi aap click karenge, you will get a lot of results. So that can be a good place for you to start with. So I don't mind sharing my Excel sheet, but wahi baat hai ki if you can't put in the work to actually research, then do you really think you can manage everything else that is going to come after? Because ये तो सिर्फ पहला step है. It is just research, computer पे बैठ के अपने घर में बैठ के. There is so much more that you have to do after this. So I would really recommend कि आप मेरी Excel sheet ना use करें. Try to generate your own. There are so many PDFs, portals already available जिन पे lists होती हैं. तो you can pick and choose from that. मैंने भी lists में से choose किया था.
Yes. Sorry to break you up. There's like opportunities corner, scholarships corner. ये भी बहुत हेल्प करती हैं.
हाँ, you can type in the chat. मैं Masters Portal भी chat करेंगे.
Okay. While you write that, मैं add करता हूँ कि even though मैं और हमना classmates थे, studying the same degree, even her Excel sheet didn't help me क्योंकि मेरे अपने interest थे यार. Like even her Excel, इसने अपने Excel में भी काफी ऐसी universities में apply नहीं किया होगा because she didn't want to. You have to do this grind yourself. और ये grind भी नहीं है, ये तो आम काम है, ये तो करना ही करना है आप लोगों को. So just do your research yourself. There's a high possibility कि आप एक में अप्लाई करो और आप में उसका हो जाए. There is a high possibility कि आप 100 में अप्लाई करो, किसी में भी ना हो आपका. ठीक है? So it all depends on your fate and how you're working for it.
Okay,
Okay.
Hadi, you have access to your mic. You can ask your question. Hadi, are you there?
Oh, yeah, sorry. Assalamualaikum.
Waalaikumsalam.
अच्छा, तो Masters in Sciences is या जो MSc है, it's inherently research degree. तो उसके साथ एक Masters in Engineering भी होती है, MEng, which is more industry based. So I wanted to ask if Erasmus Mundus gives scholarships regarding that. Yeah, Ireland or Amsterdam, the university that you're studying in, has programs for that as well. क्योंकि उसका I've heard कि, or as far as I've researched, getting a scholarship for MEng is slightly different from MSc. So I wanted to ask about that.
Yeah, for Erasmus, I don't. I think हर किस्म की होती है, because there's so many क्या कहते हैं programs in it. क्योंकि बहुत किस्म की होती है. I think dominating MSc है. Usually research is easier. Engineering is more lab work as well. ठीक है? So I really cannot say, but possible हो सकता है because it's possible that it can be difficult because it's more practical based, and are people really willing to pay you for all that practical work that you're going to conduct? Yeah, okay, it's research is usually a little more cheaper for them because हमने ज़्यादातर लैपटॉप पे काम करना होता है.
That is from the Erasmus perspective. As far as I know, that there are engineering masters available. Obviously, वो उतने common नहीं होते, and मैंने भी उस तरह actively नहीं देखा था because हमारा bachelor's engineering था, तो we had no plans of doing engineering again. लेकिन होते हैं available. I know कि इटली में जहाँ मैंने apply किया था Padua University में, उनके मैंने environmental engineering program में ही apply किया था. So I know कि engineering programs available होते हैं. They're just a bit uncommon. How the applications differ, I'm sorry, I'm not too sure about that. You might have to look into that because, but as far as I know, इतना difference नहीं होना चाहिए.
Hamna, Farhan, there's a really good friend of ours. Usko Burslari Scholarship मिली है in Turkey. He is actually pursuing masters in environmental engineering, so that's MEng.
Yeah.
So
it's still possible. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Sir, last question. What is the best time for applying for scholarships after 7th semester? Is it feasible?
After 7th semester. Hamna, you wanna?
Okay, so to start with, again, I would like to mention this कि there is no timeline and time limit. कोई इस तरह का issue नहीं है. आपने 2 साल बाद apply करना है. Our friend Adina, she's applied after 1 year and she's gotten into Erasmus. She's going to start her program in September. So there are people जिन्होंने उसी time पे apply किया था and they got in right after their bachelors, and then there are people जिन्होंने gap लिया है 2 साल का 3 साल का. So on a larger scale, it doesn't really matter. Depends on what you want to do, and as long as you justify कि आपने उस time में क्या किया है, definitely. And there are so many scholarships जो आप apply कर भी नहीं सकते जब तक आपके पास 2 years work experience ना हो, 3 years work experience ना हो. However, if you want to get in right after your graduation जिस तरह हमने किया था, then you have to start from October, and October is when we're in our 7th semester, I think. So उस time पे आपको start करना होगा. During that time, start looking for applications. Mostly by December, most applications की deadlines होती हैं. So definitely 7th semester, but I would say start researching and looking into it from 6th semester onwards, or the summer between 6th and 7th semester. Yeah. Mobin.
I think you covered it.
Okay, I think this we came to an end. I hope that all queries have been answered, and I would like to thank both Ma'am Hamna and Sir Mobin for such great presentation and explanation. I think you have explained all the questions, procedures, and details in very comprehensive and precise manner. Thank you again to all of you guys for attending the session. And again, I would like to thank Ma'am and Sir on behalf of my whole team. Thank you so much. I think you don't face any kind of issue during the session. And thank
No,
you so
thank you
much.
so much.
Thank you so much for having us. Also, somebody mentioned that if you can make a WhatsApp or Facebook group, if you think that's helpful, then we are ready to help, no problem. But उसके अलावा हम दोनों ने अपने emails and LinkedIn's आप लोगों को दिए हैं, तो you could also use those and definitely reach out to us for more questions.
Yeah. Thank you for having this session. क्योंकि I think every little thing matters. Even एक sentence में हम लोग को बता रहा था, we were talking कि even one sentence could matter in this. So take it however you want. I really hope we could help you in any little way we could. और कोई सवाल है, yes, you can reach out to us. And thank you guys. I think it was really important कि आप लोगों ने ये किया क्योंकि काफी लोगों के काफी सवाल होते हैं, जैसे कि does GPA really matter? Anyways, really thank you and honored to be here.
Thank you so
Thank you
much.
guys. So we just leave.
Okay, at last, I just want to inform all the participants that we have shared all LinkedIn profiles of our team members and also both of the guest speakers in the WhatsApp group that we have created. So you can just go there and click there and get to the LinkedIn profile links, and you can ask whatever you want to ask. But kindly be there should be relevant questions, not irrelevant questions. And thank you so much again to both of the guest speakers. It was a great session. Thank you so much.
Likewise. Thank you. Thank you.
Bye.
Hafiz, guys.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much. Allah Hafiz.
Allah Hafiz.